This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design. Kiwi is the leader in Oculus Quest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast.
The Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever find things could be a bit more comfortable, maybe a little safer? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and so much more.
And let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. You don't want to be that guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes now to prepare yourself today.
And you don't need to sacrifice comfort for cost either. Kiwi is constantly running promotions of 20, 25, and even 30% off.
Just visit the link in our show notes and use the promo code on their website to take full advantage of your savings. And be sure to follow the link in our show notes so we get credit and you help support the podcast. And remember, Kiwi has you covered for all your VR needs. This podcast is brought to you today by Zencastr, the company we choose to use for our interviews.
I remember that first interview we had and the stress that we went through trying to find a platform that we were going to host this on.
That's where Zencastr came in. With HD video recording and studio sound quality, we were able to connect seamlessly with guests all over the world.
I love the fact that it's as easy as sending our guests a link, they click on it, and they're connected.
With automatic post-production, secured cloud backup, and automated transcripts, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast. If you want to make remote podcasting easy,
make sure you go to zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code Ruff Talk VR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code Ruff Talk VR. It's your time to share your story. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joined again with Ryan Engle of what is now known as golfplus. Last time we talked to him, it was TopGolf with Pro Putt. So Ryan, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit for our listeners and tell them a little bit about your game in case they haven't played it?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ryan Engle, the founder and CEO of what is now golfplus. And as the name would suggest, it's basically a golf platform for VR, currently available for the Oculus Quest. And our goal is to really recreate the experience of playing golf in VR with full courses, real golf clubs, and, realistic physics.
Yeah, and the full courses is brand new. You guys were in development with that for a while. How long did that take you guys to fully start from start to finish?
Yeah, we've been thinking about it for a while, but from, the moment we kind of started the first course to getting it live, we got it live November 18th. I started actually building the course around the end of April. And then, we got our first beta out probably in July or August, and that had one course, and then we've added another course since then, and we're about to add our third course before Christmas, so it's in the works right now. Yeah. We're sort of working on better tooling and everything, so that adding courses will become a lot easier over time, and it's progressed a lot since the first version, but I guess it was 6-7 months of hard work to get it out.
And are you guys still just a 4-man team?
We're 5 now. So
5?
20% bigger. Yep.
Congrats to the new guy.
Yeah, thanks. No, he's been amazing. He's doing the server and web side of things. So kind of behind the scenes in terms of how the game works, but ensuring everything's working the way it's supposed to for connecting people via multiplayer, and getting our website set up, which we haven't really announced yet, but we plan to do a lot on the web to help people connect and find other people to play with and track stats and tournaments and kind of all the things that you'd hope to get out of a solid golfing community.
No, hell yeah, that was one of the few things. It wasn't even a complaint. It was just somebody with I wish that there was kind of more matchmaking and tournaments and stuff like that. So I think that'll appease a lot of people who are enjoying the full course. So right now, before you have your full tools built or anything like that, how long does it take to make one of these new courses?
So the newest one that we're doing is Valhalla Golf Club. It's our first PGA course. They've hosted a couple majors. They've hosted a Ryder Cup. It's in Kentucky. It's a Jack Nicklaus course. And it's pretty incredible. Lots of trees, beautiful course. I would say I started doing a bit on it within the last 2 to 3 weeks, and it's kind of a bit on and off because we've had some other things to look into, and a good portion of my time goes into working on the product. But as CEO, I also have a lot of other responsibilities, so it hasn't been sort of dedicated work. But yeah, I'm hoping that we can get it down to like with like a few weeks of from start to finish, getting a new course out there. It really depends on if it's a course that we're designing versus a course like Valhalla that already exists in the real world and we can get data for. And that kind of reduces the creative process of like the first course we built was the Cliffs course, and it's loosely based on a municipal course here in Austin that my co-founder and I like to play a lot. But we tweaked it a lot because it's not a real course, so we have a lot of creative liberty. And it's fun, but it's really time consuming because you kind of make a change and then you play it and you're like, oh, that didn't really pan out the way I wanted it to. And then you're just constantly questioning whether you should add a bunker here or change something there. So it's kind of a never ending process. Whereas if you're building a real course like Valhalla, you can't add a bunker. You can't change a water hazard. You can't do anything. And frankly, being a Nicholas course, there's nothing I'd want to change anyway. So it kind of reduces the creative aspect and allows you to just really focus on just getting as close as possible to the real thing.
I've been loving the full course.
Yeah,
since it dropped.
We've been keeping up with our ever competitive matches.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Although the harder modes are legit. There's some we noted in the review that we had to make some pretty serious changes to the golf clubs with the way they're angled and stuff, because I was slicing crazy to the right.
Yeah, that's a recommendation I would give to anybody looking to play on the higher difficulties in this game.
Play with the clubs.
Yeah, go into the club editor right away. I thought I was a beast on amateur, and then I went to pro mode, and I was like, dude, my ball's going to the right like nobody's business.
You realize just how bad you hit a golf.
Yeah. So you can easily fix with your stance and everything like that. It's just that, you're not as good as you think.
I do want to say, true to his word, though, the last time we had spoken, you had mentioned, the possibility you were definitely going to do the full course. The price tag for it was going to be, you were hoping under 10. And it's like everything you had said legit came to fruition.
Including the fact that not both of us need to own the course. I know that's something that you had promised in the first time we interviewed you. You wanted to be that if one person owned the course, you could still host a game with other people who couldn't. So that was the first thing we did. I was like, all right, I'll buy the course. Let me host it with Stratus, see if he can hop in. And true to your word, boom.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. So I give you hats off for that, because that was a pretty good agenda to pull off. And it was like literally 6 months, probably. Yeah.
And do you have a total amount of courses you have in mind for like an end goal? Or do you just want to go unlimited?
Yeah, we want to do, there are 30,000 courses in the world, so we want more than that.
So you're going to, okay.
I like that answer. And
what I like is that means it's not going anywhere.
No, and it's
staying for a long time.
And it sounds like you kind of prefer doing the real courses over making your own.
I like both, but there's so many, like, I'm not a golf architect, right? So as much as I like to play with it, and I love golf, and I've dreamt about designing golf courses, but I don't have the experience and the schooling and everything that real golf architects have. So I have a feeling, I'm hoping that, I'm able to carve out, call it like a month a year or something like that, where I can just go in and play with it and design my own courses for fun. But where we think there's a much bigger opportunity is in creating, tooling that anybody can use to create their own course. And the reality is I'm 100% sure that a good number of our existing players are better at designing golf courses than me and my team and probably anyone that we can hire, just because they're super passionate about it and they want to get all the details right, and it means a lot to them. Not that it doesn't mean a lot to us, but it's just different. People are just going to find really creative ways of designing a golf course that works in VR that may not even be possible in real life. That's well beyond anything that we can imagine, right? So that's what excites me, is just keeping it super open and creating tooling so that, you know, the community is not relying on us to create golf courses all the time. That being said, we definitely are in talks with well-known golf courses that are, you know, real branded golf courses. And we do want to make sure that over time we have every kind of famous course that we can, and really get the data correct there, so that for people who have played these courses, it's a good it's a good representation.
No, that's huge that you're
I
adding
think
user tools.
The tooling's well, that 30,000 just went up.
Yeah.
Like way up.
Once
People get crazy because even almost any game that has tooling, some of what the people do put out, like you said, can, and it's no disrespect to anybody, it's just there's a lot of creativity out there.
Yeah, I want to call them mods, but once you add that, you know, that community element to it, man, people get really sophisticated and crazy.
No, and the golf community is legit. We've seen that.
Yeah, so I'm excited when that drops. Do you have any type of rough estimate on that, or is that just theoretical in the future?
It's theoretical. I think there are a bunch of different ways to go about it, and we do have a pretty interesting idea to kind of get the ball rolling, because the way that the courses are designed currently, you know, we do everything in Unity, and it's on a desktop computer, and a pretty powerful one, just because there's a lot going on in a course. And then we have a ton of, you know, tooling and process to kind of go from this very high fidelity course that would never run in VR to like breaking it down so that it is able to run in VR. And in a perfect world, our course creator would let you do everything in VR. Like, you're creating the course in the headset. That's where we want to get. But right now, the hardware is just not quite there yet to do it in a way that's, you know, sort of consistent with how we're currently doing it. So we have some ideas to kind of, you know, start with probably more of a PC based version that obviously not everybody is going to get into. It's not necessarily going to be as, you know, user friendly as the long term version, but it'll be something that I think some players will take the time to figure out. You know, that'll get the ball rolling. And then over time, as the hardware improves, as our process improves, you know, we're hoping that we can kind of create something simple enough that, you know, literally a first time user could hop in and create a quick course and tweak it and share it and that type of a thing. So I imagine our course creation tooling and process is going to be kind of a never ending project.
Well, it definitely makes your website more dope too, if that's your goal to upgrade the website. Putting that on the website definitely accomplishes that too.
No, that's a big endeavor.
And I think,
that's freaking awesome though.
That makes sense too. As cool as it will be to do in VR, and that definitely has to be the end goal, it makes sense to start with PC. It's just point and click is the easiest way, and there's probably going to be some people who still prefer to build like that in the end, you know, even when it's fully rolled out.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we really want to ultimately, I think we'd love to try to make a lot of this stuff kind of open source, or, you know, well documented, and, you know, the ability for people to even create mods on just the tooling itself. Because I think if you look at a lot of the best software out there right now is community driven, and, you know, has the ability for plugins to be created, or for mods to be created, or the whole thing is open source. So that's really how we're thinking about it, is like, you know, we kind of want to do the heavy lifting of creating that initial spec that's going to work, but then build it in a way that allows the community to kind of take it in whatever direction they want, because ultimately, you know, they're going to be the ones that are spending the majority of the time in the tool creating courses that they want. So we want to give them the ability to make the tool itself better.
Shit, I think it's a win for everybody. Especially the player. The player is going to be the one coming out at the end of the day huge in this one.
Yeah, I'm for anything that makes the end product for the consumer better. So this is one of those things that, again, once you open it up to the internet, ooh, have fun.
Yeah, so you know, in a perfect world, I would love the creators of the courses to figure out ways that they can actually monetize their own courses, right? So like, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Yeah, they could sell them directly. I think that's one way to do it. You know, in-game currency is something that we don't have yet, but is something that, we really want to figure out and get right. But I think the dream for me is that somebody could actually make a living, working on courses for our game or working on other aspects of the game, organizing communities, having a clubhouse that they run that's got, paid membership because it's creating so much value for the people that join it. It's like a networking tool. I think there are just a lot of ways. The golf industry itself has a lot of different ways that people make money, and there are a lot of businesses that thrive via the sport of golf. And the way that we kind of look at what we're building is like we're trying to build that foundation so that all of these different people can create careers out of helping to build out and grow the VR golf, ecosystem.
Well, imagine
That's huge.
Imagine an esports league,
That's
like
really
a
huge.
PGA league in Golf Plus. That would, I'm not saying that that'll happen, but just back to that, if you guys have, all the same courses that they're running in the league in VR, I mean,
Why
you piece
not?
the rest
Yeah,
together. Yeah, why
absolutely.
not?
I mean, thankfully we're grateful that have being the creators of the game, we get to connect with a lot of really incredible players that play, like the people that are kind of topping the leaderboard and pro and whatnot. And my co-founder Rob and I just get to hop in and play with some of these folks, and like you watch them play, and it's just it's like watching kind of a pro athlete do their thing. Not quite at that level just because they haven't been playing as long as a pro or anything, but eventually that's what it's going to be. People are going to have their shots dialed in. You watch them on pro, and they're throwing darts at some of these pins and spinning it off of crazy positions and hitting bump and runs or flop shots and all these different things. And it's like, dang, like the talent that is required to pull off these shots is not trivial. It's impressive. And even if you literally see them doing the swing and you're like, yeah, that's a flop shot stance. Like there's only really one way to hit that shot, and pulling it off it takes a ton of practice. So obviously they've done that. So yeah, I think it's really cool. And I think over time it is going to be something that, hopefully attracts an audience. Cause as these players get better and better, just watching kind of, two of the top people duke it out, and the pressure goes up as they get closer to hole 18 or whatever mode they're playing. Like that is fun. That's good entertainment. So we're really hopeful that over time it does start to attract a good audience. And then of course, instead of watching it on a screen, there's no reason that you can't be in game with them in VR, standing behind the hole as they're about to hit their final putt. They wouldn't be able to see you, but we could have 100,000 spectators on the course that are all kind of only able to see their own friend groups or an extended sort of friend group, right? So even though there are 100,000 people on the course, nobody is seeing 100,000 people at once. You're only seeing the people that you want to see. And the ability to watch a sport like sort of, what in golf they call it inside the ropes, right? The ability to watch it where like you're literally standing a foot away from this person about to hit the putt to win. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting and new way to experience, sort of professional athleticism.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I see a big future with this. With like you said, athletes, I guess you could say, but it's like, why not? It makes total sense. It's just a matter of having enough, official affiliated leagues. What's a little bit off topic too, but kind of what's that process look like with getting like a PGA licensed course? Like, because right now, to my knowledge, you guys are the only VR golf game with, these type of affiliations and partnerships and stuff like that. So it's very clear that you're going to be the premier, quote unquote, real golf game.
That's our goal. We don't have any control over what other people do, and we fully expect others to enter in. So we're happy with where we're at, but we're also not counting any chickens yet. But I think I think what we have found to be very valuable right from the beginning was our partnership with TopGolf, and the way that we see it, our team loves TopGolf. We go to TopGolf. There's one in Austin. It was one of the first ones built. It's been here for like almost 10 years or 8 years or something. And it's, what blew me away was like, it's like, who's going to go to a driving range if they don't play golf? Like, that's how I thought of TopGolf before I went for the first time. And then I go for the first time, and the food's great, and the service is great, and the location, the venue's really nice, but it's casual and the music's good. And when I look around, it's very clear that most of the people here do not play golf. It's the shots are not, not everything's a bomb, not everything's going where it's meant to go, but everybody's happy, everybody's smiling, everything is good. And to me, that's exactly what golf needs right now, is expansion, right? It needs a warm handshake. And traditional golf is just a very difficult sport to get into. Expensive equipment, very time consuming, very high sort of skill required to even have a remotely good round. I mean, the skill required to break 100 is pretty ridiculous compared to kind of most other sports, I guess. It requires a lot of patience. So it's hard to get kids involved because it's kind of not super fun right off the bat. And you're out there for 5 hours, and like 4 hours and 50 minutes of it, you're not actually hitting a golf ball, So it's a funny sport in that respect, but you have stuff like Topgolf where it just introduces people to the idea of the fun part, where you are just hitting the ball and watching it go, and, trying to hit targets. And we think there's a huge opportunity to do that in VR as well. That being said, I think it's really the way that we saw it with kind of the PGA is, after the partnership with Topgolf, I think we kind of, we were able to build some credibility and pull off the Topgolf venue and let people connect that way, and really sort of show the fun social side of golf. Also with Pro Putt, where it's like not traditional golf. But ultimately, we really see the big opportunity as nailing the full-on traditional golf, full golf courses, hitting drives, hitting approach shots, making the putts, like putting all the pieces together. And we really wanted to establish credibility there. So Topgolf helped us establish credibility, just as like, these guys are serious, and they're going to do something that's going to be fun and golf related. And then the PGA relationship from our perspective was like, oh, these guys are really serious. Like, they're not just building a game, they're trying to grow golf, which is our mission. So we, thankfully we got connected to someone at the PGA, their chief innovation officer, who is sort of responsible for talking to companies that are, doing interesting things in golf. And it was interesting because he was actually pretty skeptical of VR in general. I think he had tried like the Vive a few years ago, or it may not be the Vive, but some headset a few years ago. It was tethered. I think he was in an experience that had a lot of motion going on, and he got motion sick. So he's like, yeah, I get sick when I use VR. And that's a tough criticism for us to get over, because it's like, who wants to do something that makes them sick? So we said, you know what, things have come a long way, and our experience is kind of unique in that there's not a lot of artificial motion. Everything is teleport, and we do that for comfort reasons. There are also some performance reasons. But you're standing there, like, we really have practically no feedback that people are getting sick in our game. And the Quest has come a long way. There's no tether. So why don't you just let us send you a Quest and see if you like it? And if you do, let's keep talking. And if you don't, then, we don't want you to get involved in anything that you don't believe in. So we did, and thankfully, I think he saw the potential, and that kind of got things moving in the right direction. And the PGA, it's the PGA of America. There are actually a couple different PGAs. There's the PGA Tour and the PGA of America. The PGA of America has a relationship with Topgolf. So, they talked to Topgolf, and thankfully Topgolf was supportive, and we have a great relationship with them. So that I don't think we would have landed the deal with the PGA of America if we hadn't done the work with Topgolf and kind of proved to Topgolf that we're not playing around here. So yeah, that's that whole thing just kind of came from the conversation with the right person that saw the potential, and now we're a week or two away from getting a PGA course into the game. So it's been a pretty exciting ride.
No, that's freaking fantastic. No, and I like the relation, because the TopGolf experience is unlike any that you'd find if you were just playing golf. So that I like the marriage in the I'll say the organic growth. And because now everybody has the full courses, and it's almost like if you just came out with the full course and didn't have any of the social experience, the drop off would probably be a lot more than, you know what it's like to go in there, play some music, have some fun, and
Yeah, that's how we've actually spent a lot of our time.
Exactly. So that whole social experience is just, and again, something about the golf community that I find is unique, especially in the online. It's a pretty big freaking community,
Mm-hmm.
and you use the word passionate. There's a lot of passionate people. They are. I mean, there's a lot of people who give anything to have a good freaking golf game.
And it, kind of to what you said about this poor guy, it pains me to wonder how many people have a bad opinion about VR because they went to some VR. Yeah, they went to some VR arcade that was outrageous. They tried some old headset. They tried the
roller coaster game.
Yep, they tried some cardboard VR or something like that. I think that there's a large percentage of the population that would love the Oculus Quest 2, but had some sort of bad negative experience, either at some shitty arcade or, with some old outdated tech. So that's awesome that you guys were like, all right, let's take the gamble. We'll foot the bill. Because if you try it, pretty confident you're going to love it. And if you got the deal sealed, it sounds like...
That's 100% rate.
Yeah, it sounds like he put that on and was like, all right, this shit's pretty good.
Well, and it's fun. And it's my brain will even picture like especially with putting, like just my brain puts the weight there for some reason. Like I almost can feel the weight of the club.
Yeah, and that's cool. That's without those third-party accessories that they sell for the golf clubs
too.
Oh,
no, that's just normal.
Yeah.
Normal play.
No, I get super immersed in this. So I'll give you one huge props, and then I'm sorry, I got to be a little critical about one thing. So huge props on the God mode voice and the tiny man voice, giant man voice. That is hilarious. We spent probably about an hour crying,
talking shit.
Yeah, pretending to be like some guy who smuggled cocaine up the border or something like that. Like we're in some like documentary or something, just having a blast. However, unfortunately, you've taken away our favorite feature of powing each other.
The head thing. Club. That's so funny you should mention that because we weren't supposed to launch without that feature. And once we got closer to our date, which we had kind of announced pretty far in advance, we were in all-out scramble mode because we bit off more than we could chew for sure. And we, had and still have a list of kind of hundreds of bugs, and it just got down to the point, or bugs are like features that we really wanted to add. And it just got down to the point, like, what do we have to get this thing launched? So that being said, I assure you it will make its way back, because that was like one that I personally love to demo to people. The first time I would play with them, I'd be like, hey, hit me in the head.
It's the first thing we did when we loaded it up to try the full course. We're like,
oh yeah, I was so bummed.
But I understand it's very, I'm busting your balls a little bit.
I thought it was a trade-off because at the end of the day, I was like, all right, if the trade-off is you get this wicked cool ass,
yeah, I understand it, and
voice to go into, then.
But no, it's gonna make its way back.
So it's returning.
We like that stuff.
That was our only.
We've got a couple other ideas too that I think could be pretty fun, but I'll keep those. To
I think in the review that was our only criticism. I think was
that we can't pow each other anymore.
Only that we couldn't hit each other with golf.
Oh man, well I'll take that as a compliment. That's a win as far as our team is concerned. Because of all the things that could be critiques, that one we can easily fix.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm getting bad scores in pro mode, but that's because I can see the improvements I need to make. That's because I suck. It's not the game's fault I'm getting plus 49. It's my fault.
Although I love the ability too, when you adjust your clubs, that you can practice and see the trail.
Yeah, that's huge.
You can kind of refine your stance, and I'm using like muscle memory.
Yeah, if you had to go out of the menu and actually hit your ball and hope that was good, then go back, it would be a pointless feature. So that's essential. Right. That's huge that's in there. So how I want to see one of these guys who are getting negatives in
Pro
pro
mode?
mode and stuff. I got to see how they're playing because I
Jeez.
can't
Dude,
imagine.
you're talking to one of them. I think I got the top of a couple pro leaderboards.
Okay,
I
so
gotta play. I gotta play more. I'm like, these
Yeah.
guys are playing so much. I mean, one of our power players, and this was like almost a week ago, had already completed over 120 rounds of golf.
Holy crap.
And we've only been released for 3 weeks, and it takes like
Yeah,
a
no,
solid 15 minutes to play a round of golf. So you run the numbers, and it's like that's like a full-time job.
yeah, takes me
I
like
can't keep up
45
with that.
minutes.
Yeah. If you're
Yeah,
playing with another person, like I've had we've played in foursomes, and it's been like everyone's headset's about to die because
yeah,
we're 2 hours in, which is awesome. But anyway, so some of the players are just putting in insane amount of time, which makes me so happy. That's really the most exciting thing, is to kind of just see people get hooked into it and do what it takes to get good. But that being said, Rob and I have been playing for a long time, and we only play on pro mode. And for us, we've been playing golf since we were kids. So for us, it was really critical that we could, get it set up in a way that we feel like is as close to true as possible. Um, and uh, I think it took me like 3 weeks or almost a month to finally break par on the Cliffs course for the first time from like the middle tees. And I remember, I think I had a putt, a 5-foot putt on the last hole to break par for the first time. And I remember my hands were sweating. I was like, oh my God, this is like so important right now, because it's you have to hit so many good shots to get to that point. And made the putt and was just like so excited and was like, oh, this is cool. It like feels like breaking par in real life. But it is
That's true.
possible, and we should play at some point, so that I definitely don't break par every time. I mean, I'll have rounds where I'm like, 8 over, or like, pretty far away. And then I'll have rounds where I'm like 5 under. So it's interesting because how I'm playing, has a huge impact on my score, like it does in real life. Like that consistency
yeah.
really
Sometimes
kind of
you're off.
transfers.
You're having a bad
Sometimes
day.
you're off. Totally. Can't see the putt. Like all my putts are ending up short or going too far, or
It's like, what
I'm
the fuck?
pulling
What's going on?
everything. Exactly. I was like, yesterday I was on fire. And then literally later that day, it might just flip, and everything will kind of hit. So it's cool because, yeah, every round is a little bit different. We have the wind in there as well, and all the different settings, right? Front tees, back tees, middle tees, hard pins, easy pins, everything. But every time the wind, even on the lowest wind setting, you still get like 2 to 3 mile an hour wind, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that can be 5-yard difference from like 180 yards. So every single time you play, since that wind is kind of moving around, every shot is going to be unique. Every single shot's going to be unique in some way, and that just keeps it really interesting, because you're never really playing the same round, even if the settings are the same.
No, we've been having some challenging back and forth.
Well,
up until we went pro mode.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I said it takes me 45 minutes for pro mode is because I'm getting plus 48, plus 49. If I was getting on par, I'm sure it would be 15 minutes. Can you imagine how intense their in-studio games are between all the developers? I feel bad for the fifth dude. He probably came and just got bullied for like a month.
Right?
Can't even win a hole,
Can't catch up. Well, what's interesting, I saw on the leaderboard, and I think I called it out. I said, I think 2 of these are him. I think 2 of these names on this leaderboard are the same person.
Yep.
It's the guy who made the friggin' game.
Are there any holes and stuff? Is there anyone on the leaderboard that's ahead of you guys that aren't part of the studio?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we might be on top of a couple leaderboards, and frankly, that was like a few days ago, so who knows anymore. There's some super competitive people that just like, as soon as they get beat, they like hop back in. No, so the majority of people on any of the pro leaderboards, the top few people are almost certainly better. One of our Discord members has kind of organized this really fun event, which is awesome because he's done all the work for it. We don't have support for it yet under the hood. But it's like basically a best ball tournament, right? So it's two player teams. You both go in multiplayer, and just the two of you, and you play, 9 holes. And he'll kind of pick, like, this week it's Wolf Creek, back tees, hard pins, moderate wind, and front 9. And it's like, okay, both of you guys play, and then you get to choose the best score from either person on each hole. So that's like best ball match play. And then at the end of it, you end up with a team score, right? So, if I get a bogey on the hole and you get a birdie, we're 1 under for that hole. So it's really cool because it allows one player, if the first player puts it kind of conservatively in the fairway, the other player can try to like drive the green or do something a little silly because they know the first player is kind of in a good spot. So there's a lot of interesting strategy. It's really fun because you and your teammate are on the same team, so you're really rooting for each other versus smack talking each other. Yeah. And that's something that we're really excited about. It's kind of having official support for that type of a thing, and really getting into more of the team play, different styles of play, just different ways that people can kind of get into it in a way that takes a little bit of the pressure off, or makes them feel a little bit more like they're part of a community or a team versus just kind of playing for your own score. So stuff like that gets us going, because a lot of our players have said, like, I really like it, but like I don't really want to play by myself. Like, I just like to play games with other people. And since at this very moment we don't have public games yet, Discord has been pretty cool, because almost any time of day or night, you'll see someone posting in Discord, hey, join this room name, I'm here are my settings, like I'm up for playing with anyone, room will be open for the next 5 or 10 minutes, like hop in if you want to play. We are adding public matches, public games within the next week or so. We have a beta that we're testing it today for with a bunch of players to make sure everything's working. But that'll be pretty cool, because you can go in, create whatever style game you want, mark it as public, and then there'll be a list of all these public games that are currently joinable. So you can just hop in, either create your own game and make it public and other people will join, or look through the list of public games that are already out there and pick one that you wanna play with. So I think that's going to be a really cool way of connecting people, because hopefully you'll just meet a lot of cool people that you can add as friends and team up with later.
I was just going to say, the community element continues to grow.
Yeah, you seem to be pretty big on wanting to expand that aspect. I think the idea of like duos, 2-on-2s, like that's an awesome idea for the guy who's running that in Discord. And if that could be built in, like,
yeah,
me and you on a team,
especially closest ball, because
yeah,
like you said, changes your total. Like, someone puts it close, you can take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
You got nothing to lose. So
yeah, we really want to add sort of scramble, like the tournament style, and even have 4-person team. Like all 4 people hit their shots, and then as a team, you're like, all right, let's take this one, and then all 4 hit from that spot. It just really takes the pressure off, and everyone's having so much fun, and it's a really good environment.
How dare you put so much fun into golf?
Right?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
What are you going to do to these country clubs? My God, I'm wondering how many people, because I'm gambling this Christmas is going to be pretty. I'm seeing a lot of Oculuses getting sold.
Yeah, they're
some places selling out.
Yep, number one seller list on Amazon for video game section. It's on like the Oprah, must buy list.
Whatever. I'm hoping the gaming world is literally going to be like Christmas, with people being like, well, I got the headset, now I got to try this, and I'm anticipating like some huge growth next year. Well, so it's going to be interesting to see.
This is the exact game that somebody would, so they bought the headset for their kid, and then they put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Their kid's probably not going to buy Golf Plus, but this is a game dad or mom or dad's going to buy,
Well, I'm curious how. Let's just play make believe for a second. Massive sales in this game, as it should be, but with massive, how does that correlate to people who come spring and summer go, I never actually have played golf, let me give it a shot. So I'm wondering how much or what percentage of carryover would actually carry over into, we'll say, real world golf, to actually go and try it. The Pro Putt's definitely.
That's our hope. Yeah, we ultimately our goal is to grow the game of golf. We kind of consider VR golf to be part of that game, but for my co-founder and I love our game. We play it a lot more than we play real golf, but there's nothing like going to a real golf course on a nice day and going out there and hitting golf balls. And, that's never going to go away. We're never going to replace that. Our goal is not to replace that. Being outside is great. Playing golf with people in real life is great. Our goal is just to keep you interested when you're not playing golf, because it is a very time consuming, expensive, hard to manage sport. So yeah, we really hope that some people play this and they're like, man, golf is way different than I expected. I thought it was all snobby and boring and blah, blah, blah. But now that I've gotten a taste of what it feels like to hit some good shots, that's pretty intoxicating. Maybe it is worth putting in a little bit of effort to see if I can do it in real life. So we're really hopeful that it does cross over and people take up the real game, because there's, it's a great game.
Yeah, especially with I think some of the younger demographic that's going to play it, because for some it'll probably be their first time ever hitting a golf ball. I didn't go out of their way to get it on PC or platform. Or
Yeah, I've played mini golf. I've never really done too much full course golf in my life.
I have. I suck equally at both.
Yeah,
but I'll still go to a full
Mhm.
course is still it's a good time out. It's fun. They send the little booze wagon usually around the halfway point and all that, if that's your thing. They cater to you nice. Some clubs, but no, I just when we originally played it long before the update, I was like, damn, I love freaking playing. I love playing golf, and there's no stress with this. You're not embarrassed by a bad shot. You laugh it off.
Nope.
Whereas, truth be told, you go to a course and there's people waiting on you. Man, there's nothing worse than a group of 80-year-olds who know how to hit a golf ball waiting on you trying to learn, because they're not, and they don't want to play through or whatever the case. It causes stress. I get stressed out, a little anxiety. I'm going to make a hack.
Yeah, versus it's your own private server.
Yeah, dude, we make a bad shot in this. What do? We laugh. You actually laugh. You're like, sucks to be you. And then, what do? I slice it right next to you, and you laugh even harder. Where that wouldn't necessarily be the case at all the golf courses you could play. So the fun factor is what I love. The fun factor, the friggin' the giant voice. I can't get enough. It's the stupidest things that impress me too. At the end of the day, all the hard work goes into this great thing, and we spent an hour talking in a giant voice and a little squeaky man.
Hey, that's what it's about. We don't care. We don't care if you're hitting golf balls or not. If you're in there having fun, and especially if you're in there with another person having fun together and, creating memories, that's what it's all about. That's what golf is all about. I started playing with my dad, and, we had many of our best moments there, and just memories of either hitting shots or just being there together. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you the score really, other than a few, cases. I couldn't tell you the scores that I was hitting for a particular round of golf, but I remember what it was like to be out there with him. And that's really cool. And that's, I hope that's the most important thing for us to capture. It's just the feeling of being out there with another person and wanting to spend time together in the experience. Some people want to get as good as possible, and that's what does it for them. And, and that's great. And we want, I'm partly one of those people. And some people just want to take a break from reality and just go out and do something fun. So we think we don't want to judge. We want to make something that, can appease all types of people, and hopefully attract people that have a negative perception of the sport or had a bad experience, with it in real life or whatever the case may be. And we've read some really cool reviews and gotten feedback from some people that were like, yeah, I really don't like golf. I really didn't want to get this game, but my friend got it and he wouldn't stop talking about it, and I got it, and I was totally wrong about golf. This is so cool. This I'm playing this game all the time. That's the best possible feedback we can get, is when someone sort of experiences it and recognizes that all the things they didn't like about golf weren't actually the core of the game. it's this other kind of craft that, we can sort of work around in VR.
No, breaking it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Breaking the stigma that exists. And I again, I won't lie. Some of it's true. You go to certain courses in certain areas, and it's like you better have your shit together and be dressed good and know your manners. And there's a lot of rules associated. But bringing the fun into it, if 5% of people play golf in real world and bring some of the in-game fun to the actual game on a real course, that'd be a game changer for the sport in itself, because you'd actually see more people laughing. I've seen friends play golf and they look very stucky about it, like they're taking it too serious.
Yeah.
You're not getting fucking paid, so you should be out there having fun, have a cigar or whatever your thing is. But I've seen people like change on a real golf course.
Yeah, and little known fact too, you mentioned playing with your dad. We don't talk about it too much on the podcast, but we're a little father-son duo as well.
There you go.
Yeah, so
Creating the VR
Playing
memories
golf together too. That's awesome.
Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but the way it goes, our games are a lot of shit talk too, though. Even though it's father-son, that's the way it goes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So
that's right. That keeps it fun.
This is a game that I think would. I mean, you guys don't have mixed reality built in yet, right? You can't do like the.
We support Oculus has a mixed reality toolkit, and we support that.
Okay.
So you can do mixed reality, and some people do.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah,
this would probably be a great game for tutorials with that, for seeing how somebody who's good plays,
stances.
how they stance, how they swing. Seeing them on the actual green in the game, I think that that could help a lot of people with some tutorials.
See that? You just opened another career for someone.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other cool thing about our partnership with the PGA of America is their biggest business is actually working with PGA professionals, not pro golfers, but pro teachers. So they have like 30,000 professional golf teachers that are part of the PGA of America. And, at your local club, there's probably a PGA coach there that had to go through the process to become one. And our goal is to start working with them to give them kind of new avenues of, teaching and training. So we don't have a lot of teaching and training stuff in there yet, but that's kind of another thing that we're planning to work with our community on, to create tools so that instead of, us having to be teachers or hiring a teacher, we create the tools so that literally any one of our players could go in there and set up lessons, set up drills, set up whatever, and record themselves in mixed reality or directly in the headset, and, put content out that people can subscribe to or, engage with, or even do one-on-one lessons. So we're really interested in kind of, building most of our features out in that way, where the content is actually coming from the players. And, we start working with these PGA professionals to kind of come up with really cool, new, innovative ways for them to reach people that aren't even in the same city, but still give them high quality golf lessons that apply to, the game outside of VR as well, the real game.
Wait until the first handful of like real pro players are like, I can do this from home.
Yeah, somebody has to take some time off of golf for whatever reason, maybe an ankle injury, I don't know, something sick or something like that, and they'll be like, all right, let me try this VR thing, and it's next thing you know, you're going to see professional
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Giving you golf lessons on how to swing.
That would be cool. Yeah, that's the dream. He would be something else. But we really hope that that's the case. And I do think there are a lot of ideas that we have that I think would be really interesting to professional golfers to prepare for a tournament. Like, let's say, actually in 2024. I think 2024 or maybe 2023, they're having the PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Course. So we'll have that course in game, in VR, and, we can find out where they're going to place the pins each day and where the tee boxes are going to be. And, a player could go in there with their caddy, and even if they're not hitting any shots, they could just navigate around the course because the contours are correct, everything's correct, and just go through with the caddy and be like, here's what we're going to hit on this hole. Here's where we want it to end up. Here's what the approach to the green looks like. If we end up, missing left, this is kind of what we're faced with, missing right. So unlike looking at a map where you just can't visualize
The
what it
three
looks
dimensions.
like. Yeah, in VR, you get down there and you're like, oh man, if we end up over here, it's going to be a blind shot. Like we're just not going to be able to see the pin because the pin's going to be blocked. So like, let's actually move a little further left than we thought. So I'm hoping that there's kind of a lot of scouting that can be done. Um, and then we've been working with companies that actually laser scan the golf greens to get them very accurate, like companies that create the greens books that pros have been using. And that's another area where it's like, if you know where the pin's going to be and you can hop onto one of those greens and maybe use an attachment or whatever and just hit a bunch of putts to see what it's going to look like while it's breaking into the hole, there's no reason that a player can't, effectively do prep work in their hotel room the night before, the morning before, on the actual greens with the actual pins, and just be really mentally prepared for what's to come, because it will look much the same. The contours are going to be the same. The trees are going to be in the same spots. The bunkers are going to be in the same spots.
I was thinking the same thing, but on my dumbass level of play, not even a professional.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew you were going to a certain state and you really wanted to play a golf course, and it's like, there it is. I can get a little comfortable with it, get, familiar with all the holes, maybe never even play it, but
It'll be real interesting in a couple of years if we see these professionals,
all busting out the headsets.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
I bet you if somebody did it, they wouldn't say it.
I mean, race drivers walk courses. I mean, golfers walk courses, but to be able to do it anytime you want or know what the course is, you got your schedule, you know what you're playing. You're like, oh shit, look at that. There's 5 of them right there. I can.
Well, and the reason I say that, I bet you they wouldn't say it because I bet you the first guy to do it doesn't want anybody else to get the advantage as well. So
Right.
the first couple of people to do it probably aren't going to advertise themselves with the headset on. They're going to be like, all right, this is my little advantage.
Yeah.
Especially
if we're
they're
working with
posting
them, they'll advertise.
Yeah.
That'll be part of the deal.
Well, I was curious if they would independently find it on their own, but definitely with a little promotion. And do you guys have any? Because I hopped into Clubhouse. I love the new Clubhouse Plus. It looks dope. Do you have a
elegant?
Yeah, it's very elegant. Do you have a timeline on when the full multiplayer aspects of it will be in?
I don't have a specific timeline, but it is like one of our top priorities. As I mentioned, to get the game out, we just ended up having to kind of avoid a lot of these bugs that we know we want to fix. So our goal is to just go back and add that polish, at least get public multiplayer working, add Valhalla. And then I would say at some point in January, if all goes well, we'll have public clubhouses, and we'll have private clubhouses. So you can go host a clubhouse, kind of like TopGolf. You can go host one, invite your friends over. You can all be hitting shots. We'll have like some games that you can play in the clubhouse. Or you could join a public clubhouse to meet people and hopefully, hit some shots, meet some cool people, and then, ideally start a round of golf with them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It keeps expanding upon the social aspects that you guys are looking to build. What games are you looking to add? Pretty much the same ones that were in the old, kind of like I don't think the old version was called Clubhouse before, correct? For the TopGolf, where you could kind of invite friends and you had all the
well, the TopGolf stuff's already there, so we're gonna TopGolf's gonna kind of stay as is for the most part. We will eventually, hopefully, even add more stuff there. But the games that we're thinking of are still kind of TBD, but like one example of a game could be, let's say that there are 4 people at the clubhouse. One game could be like horse, right? So one player can set a target anywhere that they want. I mean, they could literally set a target in the clubhouse itself. And all 4 players kind of have to hit at the target. If the first person who set the target is able to hit their own target, then it's like horse, and the other 3 players have to do the same. If they miss their target, it moves on to the next player. So like you could set, a huge target that's like, okay, everyone should hit this. Or you could set a really tiny target that's like, the size of a hole. So I think something like that. I think there's some cool ideas around kind of a bocce ball game where it's like, this is the target, and we'll count. You'll each hit 3 golf balls or something, and we'll count whoever's are closest. We could even do like some par 3 course type stuff where it's like, okay, here's the hole that you're hitting at. just go ahead and, play the hole, and whoever gets the lowest score, gets a point. If you tie, you get half a point. So I think there are a lot of just fun games like that we're interested. And then again, back to kind of user generated content, we love the idea of letting players just come up with their own challenges, not just in the clubhouse, but also on golf courses, right? So one challenge could be like play all 4 par threes in, in at par or better, right? And if you do, you beat the challenge. Like that's it. Another challenge could be like, okay, you know what? Forget the normal tees and the normal pins. The entire challenge is I'm going to put the tee box at one corner of Wolf Creek, and I'm going to put the hole at the complete other corner, which is like, 2 miles away. And you've got 10 shots to get it in the hole. Do whatever you want. Hit it wherever you want. You got 10 shots to get this ball in this hole, and that's the challenge. Other ideas are like a timed challenge where it's like you've got, 2 minutes to play these 3 holes. Doesn't matter how many shots you take, but obviously the fewer shots, the faster you're going to finish. So stuff like that I think is really fun. And again, I think once we kind of create some pretty simple tooling, I think some players are just going to get really good at coming up with really fun, challenging challenges. And instead of everybody being reliant on us coming up with all the content, which takes time and a lot of effort, it's just fun to put it in the hands of the players. And I think some players are going to come up with these crazy challenges that we would have never thought of, like put the ball in a crazy spot, the hole in a crazy spot. And I know for myself personally, since I play the game every day, I love to play it. I love the idea of being able to hop into the game and just going into this kind of challenge board and just like picking random challenges and just playing them till I beat them, or, and then moving on to the next one. So every single time I play the game, I'm doing something new. There's like some new thing, some new challenge that I haven't beat yet, some new mode, some new, tournament, some new course I haven't played. It's just like, man, this is so cool. I'm like, there's always something new to look forward to.
The vision of this game, the long-term goals of it are so big. I think it's important to know when people buy this game, it's like, it's not a finished product. It seems like you have so many things you want to do. You're just at the mercy of like
Time.
time. You're a 5-man team, and more chefs in the kitchen isn't exactly always the solution either. So there's honestly only so much you can even do. So it seems like you have so much you want to do. It's just like, at the mercy of your own time limitations. But it seems like in 1 year, this game's going to be completely different than it is today.
I hope that's the goal. So we, unlike most game studios, we don't even consider ourselves a game studio. I just consider ourselves to be a technology business, a VR business. We don't want to create a new, we don't want to create Golf Plus 2, Golf Plus 3, right? Like that's not how I see it working. I see it being, kind of more like, Twitter, Instagram, just like, we'll continue Fortnite. I think Fortnite's actually Fortnite or Rocket League are great examples. There's no Rocket League 2. There's no Fortnite 2. They just continuously update the game and have new seasons and have new equipment and have new stuff. Or Minecraft is another great example. There's no Minecraft 2. That's how we see it. That's how we want to build it, is like, it's going to constantly evolve. It's going to constantly get bigger and better. We're going to put the majority of our effort into tools that the community drive. And ideally even build it in a way that some of the tooling itself can eventually be built by the community, so that there really are no limits to it. And yeah, if you get into it now, like you're getting in at a good time, because it's only going to continue to get better. And prior to having the full course update, it was pretty different to like how we feel about it right now, because we knew that ultimately full course was where we wanted to get to. And we started with putting because we felt like if we couldn't get putting right, then full course wasn't going to be very good. Because if you can't putt, if the putting doesn't feel good, then it's like, all the shots to get there don't really matter. You just feel like it's just like, so we felt like if we could get putting to work well, that would be good. Did TopGolf because of the partnership. We thought it'd be really fun, helped us build out a lot of social features, and helped us kind of build the first version of the swing physics, full swing physics, which are very different than just putting. And then, put all the pieces together plus courses to get the full course update out there. Now that we have the full course update out there, unlike before where it was constantly kind of building towards this, we're going to have full course one day. Now that we have it, it's the problem is kind of shifted because, the number one driving priority is a little less obvious. Before it was like, well, it's full course, so like, let's just put all our effort into that. Now it's like, okay, there are a bunch of different ideas that we have, and it's, it's our job to kind of figure out how we prioritize that and in what order we do them, and just make sure that, the things that we release work the way that we want them to. So I do feel like we finally have our core product out there, and that's why we rebranded as golfplus. Finally, it's like, this is it. This is who we are. This is what we represent. This is what we're building. I hope 20 years from now, we're still not done building new features, adding new courses, adding new content, having new tournaments, having new leagues. Golf's been around for a long time, and we see this as kind of a never-ending a quest to just continue to expand the sport.
Well, that Golf Plus rebranding makes a lot of sense. It almost seems like staying with the top golf name at a certain point would hold you back. It's no, your Golf Plus fuck ton more, It makes a lot of sense. It's a good rebranding.
Thank you.
So as the popularity grows and more, I'm imagining golf courses are going to catch wind that, hey, there's this guy out here building real courses. For research and design purposes only, are you being invited to go play other courses?
I'm sure that we can, we could play any course that we have in the game, because of our ridiculous timeline that we sort of impose on ourselves, which is 100% my fault. We haven't had time to do anything really. And, just from a culture perspective for our own team and for my own sanity, we're really hoping to kind of change that next year. We want to grow the team so that we can start to do a lot more of this stuff that we're talking about. And, as more quests sell and more people buy the game, that gives us the freedom to grow the team, to fund ourselves versus trying to go raise a bunch of money. So I'm pretty confident any course that we get in the game will have the ability to go play, which is great. I can say, at this point, I think I've probably played Wolf Creek 100 times, but I haven't played it once in real life. So I'm very excited to change that early next year before summer, since it gets pretty hot in Nevada. So that'll be a cool one. And then same with Valhalla, that is a much more, it's a more exclusive course. But given our relationship, I think we'll make it happen. And TBD, but I can say that we're already in talks to have one of the most famous golf courses in the world in the game at some point next year, most likely. So we're not even close. And having even just Wolf Creek, Valhalla, and then hopefully this next one, I think the good thing about golf and the way that we've worked through this is once you get kind of one pretty big domino to fall, it makes it 1,000 times easier to get the next one. So now that we have the relationship with TopGolf and the PGA and, one of the top selling Quest games and some real courses in there, and hopefully this other big, really well-known course, it just makes it that much easier to have a conversation with the next 10 courses. Cause it's like, well, we have this course, like
the groundwork's laid down.
Oh, the name recognition.
Yeah. You're already affiliated.
Exactly.
Like it's the hard part's done. Now it's just pumping out courses and getting the approval on them.
There's a possible actual realistic downside. And it sucks more for you than
to not be in the court, to not be in the game, right? Yeah.
No, it's just like I could see, as VR continues to grow, and this is going to continue to grow. It's like, how much time off are you going to be able to take in the future? Like for real?
Oh, for me personally.
Yeah. From a business standpoint, it has the possibility of blowing up more than one may have really wanted to, 10 years down the road.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not worried about that because there's
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
There's nothing I like better than the work that I'm doing with the people on the team. So
That's awesome.
There are no complaints whatsoever. I do love the idea of just being a little bit heads down and a little bit more, um, you know, a little bit more focused on kind of meeting new people, playing the courses that we add into the game, spending more time with our team that is distributed, and just a lot of these kind of softer things that are less about just like driving as hard as possible to build as much stuff. Because, when I'm building and when the majority of our team are building, like we're just kind of staring at a screen and, typing. So it's, I like it because I love programming, but it's very different than like playing a golf course, talking to people, and doing kind of the more
stretching,
social things. Stretching, yeah. My back is not appreciated this full course release in more than one way.
No. Worse back from creating it than playing it. That's funny, right?
That's true. Yeah, very much true.
So hopefully next year is not only like super prosperous for your company, but I'm hoping you get some well-deserved time off to maybe travel around and just
visit some of these in person too,
Yeah.
Do some real life golf.
Take advantage of some of the clout,
And I don't think anybody can bitch about it being DLC for these courses, especially when they're real courses. Like anybody who would complain just doesn't understand business.
I'll say it right now. I pay more for a Pop One skin
than I do these courses.
You do for the course you bought.
100%.
And I've never complained, and I think there's no shortage of people because the content you're getting and the replayability is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like there's official licensing with it too. So it's one thing when it's a made up course, but like when you you don't need to tell us any of the business side of it, but I'm sure it's not exactly just kosher and username for free and everything.
We have to
like
pay.
That. Yeah. It's licensing. That's business.
A licensing fee. Yeah.
So if you were to give these courses,
100%.
But then you go to give these courses away for free, like you're going to bankrupt yourself like that. Just to be reasonable, you have to sell something, So it makes sense that these have a very reasonable price tag to them. When we see eventually 30,000 courses and, you guys are pumping them all out. Have you guys ever thought of like a season pass, a monthly membership or something like that to give access to just flat all of them?
Yeah. Well, I will say Valhalla is going to be a free course because we thought it would be really cool to kind of mark our relationship with the PGA by offering that course for free. So that is going to be a free course. And a big part of why I've been thinking about that question more than anything. And, every business kind of has to determine like, what are they optimizing for? What's the most important metric to be measuring and improving? And, an obvious one is like money. How much money can we make? That's an obvious one. Every business has to make money. If they run out of money, they die. So that's just part of it.
You have a family,
money allows us to grow, all of these things. But for me, the most important metric is not actually money, because thankfully our sales are doing well, and that's been great, and it's allowing us to grow and do these things. The most important metric for me is weekly active users. So, and we don't actually like the word users. I like players, weekly active players. That basically means, okay, you get new people playing and they play 1 week. That's fine. Do they come back and play the next week? Who's playing once a week, right? Who's addicted to the game? Who's playing at least once a week? And for me, that's the most important thing, because if the majority of our players are playing once a week, they're much more likely to tell their friends about it, to talk about it, to get other people who buy a headset to kind of try it out and to just really enjoy it and see the new features that we're building. So even though, in the short term, we could make some money by selling the Valhalla course, because I think a good number of players would buy it, I think we're more likely to increase our weekly active players if we give it away for free. So instead of a subset of people willing to buy it, instead of them being able to play it, now anyone who's bought the game can go at least see the difference between the Cliffs course and Valhalla, which again is designed by Jack Nicklaus, and some of the views you get are just phenomenal. And it's like, as I'm building the course, I'm thinking like, man, I really don't want to restrict who's seeing this. Like, I really want as many people as possible to see this. So in the short term, that's kind of why we're doing that. We just thought it was a really cool way to give back to our players, and I just want as many people as possible playing Valhalla. In the Wolf Creek will still be, DLC. In the longer term, I think something like a season pass, something we've kind of been toying with, like a membership, is probably the direction that we'll end up going. And it's still very early. I don't know how it's going to play out, but one idea is, let's say that a season is 3 months, so we have like 4 seasons per year, and each season comes with 3 new courses. Okay, so we release 3 courses that we build, like 3 licensed courses potentially. And if you do the season, you get access to those 3 courses immediately. If you don't do the season, then you still get access to the courses, but only after the season ends, right? So it's kind of like it's early access versus only access, which I think is totally fair. If you're really into the game and you want to play stuff as soon as it comes out, then you pay a little bit. But the people who do pay early and are happy to do it are effectively kind of subsidizing it for the people who wouldn't pay for it. So I really like something like that. And of course, as part of the season, we'd have exclusive tournaments, potentially exclusive golf clubs and content that you could only get, kind of like how skins work. And just a bunch of other perks that come with the season, so that if you are a weekly player or even a monthly player, like, it just makes a lot of sense to do the season. But yeah, we're toying with a bunch of ideas. And again, our number one thing right now is just figuring out how we can get as many people playing like once a week or once every couple weeks to just keep playing it. That's our top priority. And then, figuring out how we then kind of monetize in a way that's really fair, and kind of meets people with where they're at. That'll be sort of our secondary priority.
I hope people appreciate the fact that nowhere in anything you've put out is the word money grab.
No, that's above and beyond to give this.
From the initial game and the content you got with it, it was well worth the value. And it's almost like you're managing to give a lot more value, a lot more content than one would have to pay for if they wanted to just make a lot of money on it. So that's actually impressive.
No, that's huge that you're giving that for free. I would not expect that at all. But that's awesome.
No,
that's
but
huge.
it's a great taster, because then, like you said, you get to see now the difference of, all right, so this is what.
And I hadn't even thought of something like that with early access with the course. That's a really good way where it's, you won't get the people saying, oh, it's a money grab, everything's for sale. It's like, hey, if you want it early and you want some extra bonus community things, and you really love the game, fuck it, why not pay the $10 or whatever? But if not, then 3 months later you can play the course, whatever. It is what it's hard to complain about that. Yeah,
it's an absolute win-win.
So you're kind of appeasing the people who aren't really down to buy everything, and you're appeasing the real dedicated players too. It's really hard to. That's an awesome compromise.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's awesome.
I'm just blown away. There's so much growth with this game.
Yeah,
I don't even want to call it a game. That's not fair.
Yeah, we have a hard time calling it a game, but golf's a game too. So yeah, we don't really care what people call it. But from a money perspective, I guess the way that I kind of see it is like I didn't start this business because I wanted to build something and then sell it and like make a bunch of money and then go do something else. Like this is the thing that I want to do, even if I had billions of dollars. Like this is the problem that I'm the most interested in solving in a way that frankly appeals to me. Like I don't want to be in a scenario where we've built a game that I don't want to play. That would be pretty foolish. So the whole team looks at it as like, this is like, let's be thinking about what can we do today that's going to make the game better 20 years from now? How do we make sure that we're in a position 20 years from now when everyone does have VR headsets, when, every single golfer has a VR headset and they're playing VR golf? What can we do now that ensures that, when that future comes, we're really well prepared for it? And the way I see it is like trying to get a little greedy, or just even doing a couple things now that would allow us to get more money in the short term. I think it just slows us down for the long term. So we're just trying to keep everything as cheap as possible so that as many people can kind of get in, we get more feedback, we get more people hooked, they tell more friends. It just kind of creates this really nice flywheel that just keeps spinning. And that's that. I think that's good for everybody. I hope. So yeah, we're really grateful because the Quest 2 just sold a lot more than we imagined it would, and as more people get VR headsets, that really has a direct impact on our sales. So we've had a good year, and we're not hurting for money right now, and I'm really grateful for that. And the least we can do is kind of give as much back to our players as possible.
Well, we thank you. I don't think everybody in your position might think the same way, and others might just take a different approach.
No, you could have easily sold this one for $9 as well, and boom, made bank. Had a nice Christmas, everything
or
like
just,
that.
I'm not doing anything else in my game. I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
and just
done.
Walked away and let the residual come in and new sales. But no, I love hearing when
it's a passion project. It's not about money.
There's shit that's been talked about, discussed. We've
yeah,
endless hours being spent on future things that may never even happen, but the discussions take place, and it's like that says a lot about where someone's going.
Yeah,
so, yeah, you're the long haul. I love it.
And I'm a firm believer when you chase the money, you end up with nothing, and when you do it for the love, the money comes on its own.
Passion will bring. You should never do it for the money unless you.
When you're doing it for the love, you make such a good product that the game's gonna sell itself.
The same with the smaller size studio.
Yeah,
we've come to learn that the bigger the studio doesn't always guarantee anything better, and it seems like the lesser hands into the pot, the better the outcome is. Actually having face-to-face discussions, or being able to not have 10 memos for one person to read it to send it backstream. I like it. It's almost like that small town, but the product is so much better. Well, I don't want to drag this guy's whole day down now. It's an hour 15. I've got more questions. I'm even looking at I just won't shut up.
I'm happy to go. I'm happy to go for at least another few minutes if you want. I really enjoy these conversations. It actually gives me a good chance to kind of put my thoughts in order. So
forces you to not be staring at the.
Sometimes you'll be talking about things and be like, oh yeah, shit, I do got to get that POW thing back.
Exactly. Now that I said it outwardly, I really probably should do that. So force some priorities.
We might have to clip that and make so there it's in stone. Because so far he's 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
With everything you've said that you were gonna. And that's what blows me away about hearing all the futures is like, damn.
Yeah. So far the track record's good.
Not one thing was deviated, even from the time frame of I anticipate. We'll probably drop it around the end of November, somewhere around there. And I'm like, that's a pretty ambitious and then boom, November came and you did.
I think that's one of the tricks I learned, because I'm the biggest procrastinator ever. I mean, in school and everything, it's like night before, like I'm gonna get it done. So for me, the best way to get anything done is to just have an unmovable deadline. And then it's like, well, you have to, otherwise you fail. And while I'm a big procrastinator, I'm not big on failing due to lack of effort. I'm okay with failing if I put effort in. That's bound to happen, but I'm not going to fail because I just stopped. So we committed to the deadline and just got it out there and tried to make it public. And then it just becomes a question of what can we fit in? So let's start with these big ideas and try to do a bunch of things, do some R&D to see what's going to work. And then over time, it's we don't have time. Get rid of this stuff that's just not really working. Get rid of the stuff that's just not really working. You just kind of refine until you're left with okay, these are the things that just have to be in. Otherwise we can't launch, and let's just get those done. So I'm a huge fan of just kind of committing to some big ideas and throwing out a timeline, and then it just forces you to figure out how to do it, and cut the things that aren't critical.
I'm kind of wired the same way. If you give me a year to do a project, it'll probably never get done until the last month. But if you gave me
2 months,
you gave me a year's project and said you needed it in a month, you'll have it in a month.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. Otherwise, it's just you need that
push. Yeah,
it's almost insulting. I'm just good at what I do, so I'll just there's something to that being wired that way.
Absolutely. And what's it like to get these full courses to run on the Quest 2? Was that a challenge to get something
Oh
because
man,
it's massive?
yeah. Yeah, they're huge. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the reason that we don't support Quest 1 was unfortunately the Quest 1 has significantly less RAM memory than the Quest 2, and far less power and everything. And one of the most important things to me, especially knowing that we're going to do real courses, is I really wanted to make sure that all 18 holes and the surrounding area could be loaded one time, and then you could teleport anywhere in the course instantly. There's no loading once you're in there, which uses up a lot of memory because you have to get everything loaded, that one time. And then, yeah, we ended up coming up with a lot of different tricks and stuff to just be as efficient as possible, because you can't have like frame drops in the middle of your swing, otherwise the ball could go anywhere. So that was really important. And then I really wanted to figure out how we could get the reflections to look good. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but if you're in a bunker and you hold your club up and you're looking at it, like it's reflecting the sand below you. Like you can see the bunker below you, or if you're in the rough, or if you're behind a mountain, like when you hold your driver up or any of the clubs and you look at it, it's reflecting the trees and stuff around you. No other Quest game that I know of does that, because it's because there's some tricks that we had to pull off, and then the water reflecting the trees and surrounding was another big one. So we tried to do a lot more stuff that just didn't make it in, like have interactive grass and like see it waving, and like like knee-high grass and stuff, and those are things that I'm excited to get back to over time. But just getting it running for the first time was like probably one of the biggest reliefs I've had in a long time, because I up until it ran performantly on the Quest, I was like, I have no idea how we're gonna pull this off. Like, this is a lot of
I keep promising it, but I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. I was like, I know I have to figure it out, but honestly, I don't know what we're gonna do. And I'm still tweaking on performance now. There's still a bunch of things that as we improve performance, we can add more details, which just like makes it that much better. And the other thing I really love about kind of the product that we're working on is we're highly incentivized to make the most beautiful sceneries ever, right? Like golf courses are sort of inherently some of the largest plots of manicured nature that exist in the world. Like they're gorgeous. They're in these incredible locations. And depending on the time of day, they can look completely different with the shadows and the lighting and fog and stuff like that. So as hardware gets a lot better, we have more power to add these details and add these things. So it's like 20 years from now, when a headset is 10,000 times more powerful than it is today, we're still going to be trying to push the limits of like how many extra blades of grass can we get in there, how much volumetric fog can we do, like how much detail can we add to this club, can we set it up so that every single time you hit, we keep track of where you hit it on the club, and you actually start to wear your clubs down and see like a little sweet spot form, like stuff like that. So I just get excited by all the things that we're not able to do right now that are going to be, make the experience even that much more immersive once the hardware catches up. But yeah, getting it running on the Quest 2 was definitely one of the hardest things I've done in a while.
Well, props to pulling it off. And as you have 1,000 things on your plate, and not enough time to do all of them, I have a real selfish fan question.
Oh, I know. I already know what you're gonna ask.
This is for any social game. This is my number one favorite feature.
This is actually a good question.
Yeah. Have you ever considered adding a selfie cam or any sort of type of built-in camera? Because that's one of my favorite things. You're in a game with somebody, you go to do the selfie. Instead of opening up the Oculus take picture mode, you actually get to do the hey.
I love that. Yeah, it is something that we've talked a lot about, especially now with like TikTok kind of blowing up as like one of the biggest platforms to share content, and VR content being incredibly hard to capture in a way that like really represents what it feels like.
No, absolutely. You need like a standstill camera. Otherwise it
you
looks
need
weird.
Exactly. So we do, I don't know if you've tried it, but we do have the replay mode,
Yep.
which isn't perfect, but the one cool thing about that is like, if you hit a good shot, you can capture a replay and then replay it, and then you effectively become the camera for sort of a past version of yourself that just hit that shot. Over time, we want to figure it out, but it is a real challenge, because in order to have a virtual camera in the game, you basically have to render the scene twice, once through your eyes and then once through the camera. And right now we're just pushing the limits of like what's even possible with the one view, so it would probably lead to a performance hit.
Yeah,
so
understood.
but,
No, it's a big
we
selfish
definitely
fan
will.
question. It's always
No,
easy for me
100%.
it's easy for me as the customer to play a game. You know, you guys spend years and all this time, hours working on it.
Where's my camera?
Yeah, first thing, well, your game's great and everything, but where's my POW and my camera?
How
you
come
know,
I can't beat the shit out of the guy I'm playing with
and take pictures of it?
Take pictures.
It's so
No,
so
I love
childish.
it. The fact that you're asking those questions are like honestly the best possible thing from my perspective. Because if you were asking fundamental questions like why does it suck to hit the driver, then I'd be in big trouble. But you're not asking questions about like the game being crappy. You're asking questions about these extra things. So I take it as a compliment for sure.
No, what I'll say is like, okay, so going from amateur mode to the hardest mode, like it was definitely a big shock how much I sucked, but at no point did it feel like it was because of the game.
No,
like I could adjust my club,
like, no,
I could adjust my stand. It was me. I suck. It's not the game's fault at all.
Ball's going to the right because that's where you hit it.
Yeah, and you can. And the first time I did it, I was very confused, and then the next time I'm like, oh, I'm just bad. I see exactly what I'm doing wrong, and I can't not do it.
I did stance compensation.
Yep.
For how bad I hit it to the right. I was just not good with
a lot of the another thing that you can do, you can close the face of the club, obviously that definitely helps.
Yep.
You can also go into settings, controls, and there's an attachment section, so that's for like attachments that you can buy. But if you go to the custom attachment section, you can actually just slightly adjust how your controller is kind of gripping the club. So you can kind of rotate your hand a little bit. So instead of just closing the face of the club, you sort of, effectively rotate the whole club in your grip so that now it is lined up a little bit more with how you swing. So I would highly recommend just like jumping in there and checking that out, because, some players are finding that they just want to hold it a different way, and this gives you complete control over that. And then, spending a bunch of time on the driving range to just hone your shot shape has definitely helped me. I just I'll sit there and hit a 7-iron until I hit, at least like 5 or 10, like in roughly the right direction. And, just try to hit it low, hit it high, hit it left, hit it right, and try to see, if you're able to sort of shape the ball. But yeah, it's cool because it's like one of those things where it's so easy to just hop in the driving range or even play and just hit a bunch of shots, right? And you get instant feedback. So it's not like going to the driving range where you got to go buy another bucket of balls and, you got to drive to the driving range. Like you can just hop in and in 10 minutes you can hit, 200 shots pretty quickly, and just see the instant feedback from every single one. So it's cool because the loop between doing the action and getting feedback is like immediate. You don't need another person to be there. It's just you and the club doing your thing. And, from what we've seen, at least based on the data we have so far, the people who, regardless of where you started, the people who are playing the most are getting better in every scenario.
I could totally believe it.
I'm going to have to try that custom grip thing too, because so we have our podcast sponsor Kiwi. They sent us these nice controller grips.
Oh, cool.
But the knuckle grip, you put it on and it's possible when I hold it maybe I'm rotating the controller a little bit because it's hooked on my knuckle. It's a different length. So man, going in the settings and adjusting that actually that might be why I'm hitting it a little bit to the side.
Well, you could definitely compensate for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh shit, that might just change everything.
Yeah,
you're going to be a scratch golfer before you know it.
Yeah,
competing on those pro leaderboards.
If I can get to about plus 30 on pro, I'm happy.
Yeah, you break that. You got to break 100. That's like goal number one. Like break 100. That's the beauty of golf is like there are always these like break 100, break 90, break 80. There's always the next benchmark.
I was the first time we did pro, it was plus 11 on hole 1.
Yeah, it was real bad.
It was so bad.
It was funny. And like, dude, we were doing like, we went from like really good, minus 20 on amateur. I was all cocky,
Well,
not
that's
that that's
the
a
thing.
great score, but
my own cockiness got the better of me when I'm like, it's gonna be just as easy, right?
Yep.
Nowhere in my brain thinking, no, you idiot. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I gotta hit the driving range more.
yeah, no, this
Definitely.
is definitely a
so
game.
there's novice mode, and then there's amateur, and then there's pro. So
Okay,
we do
that's-
have
yeah, yeah.
three. So you
I was
might have been
mixing up-
on
I was
novice.
mixing up. Yeah. I was referring
So
to.
you went straight from novice to pro, probably, right?
I
Yeah.
think we tried the
We did about
Amateur, the middle one?
half a round of it, which is
Yep.
like a little bit less aim assist, and then you don't have the putting
putt
line. Yep.
Exactly. So it's a good, like, I would recommend playing on amateur until you are like breaking par potentially, just to like, because going straight from novice to pro, unless you like playing pro, then that, I totally get it. But yeah, we really wanted to have these modes to kind
That
of
progressive.
help get you to pro, because starting on pro would be like too much for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, again, I got
I
cocky
just-
on novice. I
yeah,
got real cocky.
we got
Fucking king of novice over here,
Yep. Like, we're doing so great.
Yeah,
And
I'm
even
pro.
novice is meant to make you feel like you're Tiger Woods. Like
Yeah.
you can just hit any
It
shot and
worked,
it spins back. Yeah, exactly.
It worked,
And then you
'cause
go
a
to
couple
pro
of
and you're
rounds-
like, oh,
Yeah,
and-
I'm going right
and
to
even
pro.
on amateur, we didn't do terrible on the
Mm-mm.
middle one.
No.
But then we hit pro, and like I said, like, dude,
My life
plus
changed.
49. It was insane.
that's funny. Yeah, on amateur and novice, like we basically look at the physics is exactly the same as pro. We look at kind of where the ball would have ended up if we just left it as is, and then right at impact, we just make a couple minor adjustments to like which way it's going and the spin on the ball. And that's the only difference. So pro is essentially not doing anything. It's 100% based on the path of your club and the face angle, whereas the other two modes are kind of looking at where it would have ended up versus where you wanted it to end up based on the shot target, and then us, kind of making some adjustments to get you a little closer to that target. But yeah, pro's cool because it's like no assistance whatsoever.
Yeah, it's
100%.
on you, and every shot feels like where you know why it went there.
Oh, there were a couple. The minute we took the swing, we were both like,
You're like,
yep,
that's going left,
yep,
that's going
now I'm
right.
gonna
Like,
watch. I already
sliced
know
it.
what I
Yeah.
did. But to me, it means,
Exactly.
you're learning.
Yeah.
You're getting better.
To me, that's why I like pro mode the most, because as it should, it's the hard difficulty. It feels the most realistic. Whereas, like,
100%.
the other modes are a lot of fun, but it's not that they feel arcadey, but you can feel the little bit of
Assist.
the game's holding you a little bit. It's like, come on, buddy, that's not what you meant to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This
yeah,
is what
yeah.
you should do.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a brutal honesty guy, so even if it's like, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The only way to improve is go out and get submitted 100 times. So it's the same
Yeah,
thing. All right,
get
I'm gonna have a bunch of bad
strangled.
scores, so whatever. It's still fun to me.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, like, you got your plus 40. Your goal is to get plus 35. It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
to like break par. It's like just consistent improvement is always fun.
And I'll give it a lot of props that you don't have to be good for it to be fun, especially if you're playing with a friend. Like, that was probably some of our funnest games, was the games we did so bad because we're just sitting there pissing ourselves.
I
at
remember you had to take your headset off to wipe your eyes.
Yeah.
That was too much fun.
I
Yeah.
think. Do you
You're
remember that
laughing.
time you went in the
That's
water
amazing.
like 4 times in a row?
Yeah.
Oh my
Tin
god!
cup style. Tin
Yeah,
cup.
it was terrible.
It's just when you were like, I can't do it.
I'm like, I'm not doing. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But we still have
Yeah.
competitive fun.
So to me, this game's awesome because if I do great, I feel like a badass, and it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I did good on that hole. But like realistically, if I'm doing bad, it's fun. It's a great time.
Well, if you do bad, it was you, not the game.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference, is questioning whether what I just did was game
Yeah.
related or
Like
whether I just suck.
I don't think it's picking up my motions right. Like, no, again, you just suck.
If you have self-honesty, it's definitely not the game.
And for any of our, this is going to be a little bit weird for our podcast listeners, but for anybody watching on YouTube, I definitely dig the giant giraffe you got in the back wall there.
Thanks. Yeah, I grew up in different parts of Africa, so I
Really?
have a lot of African stuff. Yeah.
Okay, were you born in Africa or born in the United States, then moved there, younger?
No, I was born in Germany, actually. Born in Germany, lived in Virginia for about a year. Then we moved to Ethiopia, Cyprus, Malawi, back to Virginia for a year, and then South Africa, and then back to Virginia.
Holy shit!
My goodness.
Military family.
That's what I was going to guess.
It's a State Department.
Okay.
So yeah, my
Yep.
dad was a diplomat. So yeah, I learned how to play
Wow.
golf in South Africa. So it was
that
great.
had to be nice, though.
We lived right next to a golf course. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Weather was perfect. Like people were super nice.
Yeah, I've heard actually a lot of good things. I had some friends that went down there for part of college way back when, and they came back with just some awesome stories.
Oh, that must have
Yeah,
been
it's incredible.
that must have been hugely influential for you at a young age to travel to all those different places. Here I am. I've grown up my whole life in the Northeast. You know, how old were you when you were hopping around here? Was this like elementary school, middle school, or?
I mean, since birth, basically, right?
Basically?
Yeah. By the time I got to high school, we moved back to the States for high school for me. And I had lived, I was like 13, and eight of my years had been in Africa. So, yeah, actually the hardest transition from everywhere that we ever moved, the hardest one was coming back to the States for high school. It was, because most kids grew up, knew everybody in the school, and being a new kid is always interesting, and then being a new kid that grew up in a completely different continent was tough. But yeah, it was cool. And then I got to play golf on the high school team, and then and then got really into computers. So yeah, it was fun. It was a great upbringing. I definitely recommend checking out South Africa if you like golf or you just want to travel. It's an incredible place.
Yeah, again, I haven't had anybody who went there ever come back and be like, don't ever go there. You don't want to go there.
Yeah, I always love to hear people's unique stories because that's definitely a unique path. Do you speak any other languages as well, or just English?
No.
Just English.
Just stuck with English. Yeah, thankfully everywhere that we went spoke English, and
yeah,
we
that's
always
the benefit
had
of
an English-speaking school.
Yeah, state, diplomat son, pretty good. You have any siblings as well, or only child?
Yeah, I have a sister. She's a couple years older. She lives in Austin too. And my parents live in Austin. We all ended up moving to Austin at different times.
Oh, wow.
Smart move.
Yeah, how is Austin right now? It seems like, a couple months ago when we talked to you, Austin was blowing up, and somehow it seems like it's continued to just blow up more. All I hear about is Austin these days.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'd say almost everybody I meet now has moved here within the last year or so, a year or two. And traffic's still not bad, I guess, because a lot of people are working remotely, so it's not, you don't feel as much congestion, but definitely a lot of new people and a lot of really good energy. Like, most of the people who are moving here are excited to be here, and the people who already live here are generally pretty happy to be here. So it's a great place. I moved around every few years growing up until I moved to Austin, and I've been here for the last like almost 13 years and have no plans of going anywhere. So I think that speaks a lot to kind of the vibe that you get here, other than it being just brutally hot in the summer. It's like, it's like probably 60 degrees right now. I know I'm wearing this because 60 degrees in Austin is like freezing cold, but
yeah, we got about like 20, 30. I laughed when you said you're in Massachusetts, so it's pretty cold for us right now. But I laughed when you were like, "Oh, I got to go to Vegas not when it's in August because it gets pretty hot." I was like, "Damn, that's coming from the guy who lives in Austin." You know?
Yeah, well, August in Austin, I'm not, trying to play a lot of golf out here either.
Yeah, you're doing your programming at that time.
My goal is to like spend all of like August somewhere else, because August in Austin, unless you're on the lake, it is just brutal. Like, you just don't want to go outside. It's 100 degrees and like 80% humidity. I mean, it's a beast.
Nice. And I'm just noticing that's also, I was commenting on the giant giraffe over there, and then it looks like you have a giraffe painting on the left side as well, too.
You just scoping out the guy's background.
Yeah, come on, man.
What are you doing, shopping?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, trying to keep this my office / hangout room. Keep the
It's got a nice vibe
kit,
to it.
Yeah,
school
good
vibes
colors
going.
Absolutely, very relaxing in there. So I thank you for coming on. I definitely think we're gonna have to harass you to come back on in like 6 months or a year on the way you're sounding like things are gonna go. Sounds like probably by May of next year it's gonna be a completely different game, let alone by the end of next year.
There's gonna be a time we're gonna reach out and we're gonna get the Look, you have your people reach out to my people.
I
can
hope
set
that's
this
not
up.
the case.
I might have a 15-minute block on Tuesday between 6 and 6:30.
My goal is I'm very calendar light, so my goal is to always have as little on my calendar as possible. That's like a life goal. But
No, that's
I
awesome.
like to make time for stuff like this.
I'd say the vibe you brought to the game is definitely a good representation of who you are. I think. I think you've spilled that in, and just in a couple of times we talked to you, it's like, you know what, there's good souls and there's not good souls, and it's when you have someone doing something and they're putting some of them into it, then it definitely shows in their finished product.
Yeah, and the playfulness shows very quickly between the pow and the giant voice. It's just it's good vibes. So yeah, definitely. I don't think this is going to be the last time we have you on, and
no, we'll have to harass again.
I know you're busy. You got enough features to put in the game that you haven't been able to. For you to give us almost 2 hours of your time, definitely we appreciate that.
No, thanks for reaching out. No, I really appreciate you guys covering the game and enjoying it and playing it. And I'd love to do it again. Hopefully, the next time we talk, it does feel like a lot has been accomplished.
Yeah, that's the goal, and hopefully we'll play a game soon, and you can smack us around a little bit. Watch how bad we are with our slicing to the right.
Yeah, no, let's do it. Like you said, I mean, that's the beauty of the game of golf in general. Is like it doesn't really matter the skill level of the people you're playing with. Everybody's going to have a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, I hope you enjoy this episode, and stay tuned for next time Ryan's on. Podcasting remotely can be a challenge, and when we first began interviewing developers, we ran into every headache imaginable.
From connection issues to video lag to sound quality performance, we knew there had to be a better platform we could use.
That's where Zencastr came in, allowing us to easily connect with guests all over the world. Zencastr is simple to use with no download needed. With studio quality sound, HD video recording, automatic post-production, automatic transcripts, and a cloud backup, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast.
If you'd like to have the same easy experience that we did for all your podcasting and content needs, then make sure to go check out zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code Ruff Talk VR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code Ruff Talk VR. Zencastr, making remote podcasting easy. Hey guys, Dscruffles here. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast platform you listen to. And definitely don't forget to check out our official subreddit and join us there at r/RuffTalkVR. There you can join a community of other podcast fans, join us for some podcast meetup games, get first scoop on new episodes, interact with us a little bit directly, and more. As well, be sure to check out our official podcast supporter link, the Buy Me a Coffee link you can find right in our show notes, where you can donate to the podcast either one time, multiple times, become a monthly supporter. That way you can help us on our journey to make podcasting a full-time gig so we can continue to bring you more great podcasting content. As well, be sure to visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes as well, where you can go and shop for different Oculus Quest 2 VR accessories, whether it's knuckle straps, lens protectors, face shields, whatever. Kiwi has you covered. So again, visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes, help support the podcast, and pick yourself up some sweet Oculus Quest 2 gear.